Audley Group has been building and managing retirement villages since 1991, as well as changing the way people view retirement. In pioneering the sector, they helped bring independent living to the UK and have been blazing a trail ever since. Throughout their illustrious history, they've had one simple mission: to help people live better for longer, something they certainly deliver on with style. But how did Audley create and build such an unparalleled business? And how will the market leader continue to enhance the lives of its owners, customers, employees and investors in years to come? To find out, we spoke to everyone involved at every step. And we started with the creator of it all, CEO Nick Sanderson, to hear how everything began back in 1983 when Beaumont Healthcare was founded.
Well, it all began more with a friend of mine, actually, who came to me. We were in conversation one evening, casually, and he'd just qualified as a doctor. And his primary challenge, he found, was just not having really good options for older people. So we decided with two options, really. One was to do nothing about it because it was just too big a thing to challenge, and the other was to have a go. So because we were young and optimistic and ambitious, we thought, well, let's have a go. So we created a business called Beaumont Healthcare. We managed to persuade some people to back us and set off to try and reinvent, particularly in those days, residential care, so the old traditional care home. So in the later 80s, we created a housing solution alongside every care home we did. We called it close care, which was to give people the opportunity to live in a home of their own still, which they would buy, but immediately in the grounds of and adjacent to a care home. So we built our first 9 little bungalows in Stratford-on-Avon, opened in the late 80s, and we had a queue of people wanting to have a housing option. And Audley was then launched to take it to the next level. Hard though it is to imagine, nobody really had done anything like it in the UK, so everything was for the first time. So whether we were seeking financial partners, banks and others, investors, whether we were trying to get a planning permission, whether we were trying to find people to design them, build them, everything was pretty much for the first time. So when we were looking for the first site, it had to be somewhere where I was comfortable, that I knew enough people to be able to persuade them to work with us. And I was very fortunate that this, Willicombe House, as it now is, Willicombe Park, was something that I knew of very well. I grew up in this town, and I'd seen this. I'd walked past here, actually, when I was a child, going to play sport at school. And I'd watched it. It was a Barnardo's children's home, and it had come to the end of its life, and was sad and neglected. And I managed to persuade Barnardo's, the charity, to not only actually to sell it to us, but to develop it with us in partnership. And that's how the first one came about.
I think my first week, just actually walking through the main house, it was like something out of a movie. It was like, you look around and you think, wow, I can't believe I work in a place like this. But everybody is so friendly. I can't, imagine being anywhere else. The people, the owners, everybody you come into contact with in this village, they're just, they treat you like they're a real good friend, and they're very helpful.
We are the first village, so we're special. And I just think the people who live here are special as well.
There's a warmth about this place that I don't think you would find anywhere else.
What I'd seen all of those years is when we'd get into a conversation with people about what old people wanted, they talked about older people as if they were different, that they had different hopes and dreams and expectations. And of course that's nonsense. All older people want is what we want. They are just us, but older.
You feel needed and you feel welcomed.
There's always somebody, to talk to you if you wish to go and join in or have coffee or entertain somebody. It's just open to everybody. It's lovely.
And core to one of the things they want is they want to be treated with respect, but they also want to have design that's contemporary, interiors and external design. They want to have a level of service that's appropriate for them, and respects the fact that they are customers and need to be delivered with great service. And yes, they need the reassurance that they'll be looked after later in life if they need it, but also in a dignified way.
Everything you need is here. And, you know, the grounds, the food, the people, everything, the care. If you need anything, it's at your fingertips.
After the opening of Willicombe Park, Audley went from strength to strength, acquiring 5 new sites for development and being recognised as one of the UK's primary innovators of retirement villages. But that was just the start for this innovative business.
Yes, I always did have faith in the brand, actually, and what we do, because it responds to pretty straightforward and simple human demands and emotions, really, which is good housing, community, great service and access to support as your needs change as you get older. And if you keep to those core values, then you won't go too far wrong.
I think when I first started, it had a real family feel to it because it was small. And I think one of the things I'm most proud of is even though we have grown and we're a much bigger business now, it still has that same culture. It still feels like everybody cares and everybody that comes to work has a full understanding of why they do, and that's something that's never been lost.
There were a number of changes we made over time. Probably the first was making sure we've got a large enough catchment of people, so the villages are in areas with far greater population and have a far greater number of units to make the developments, ensure the developments are viable.
So if you look at where we are around the country, from Yorkshire to the Midlands to Devon to Kent, there's a certain characteristics in the locations we're in, mostly defined by the number of people who live there who are perceived to be Audley customers. So some of the fantastic villages we've built over those years, yes, I mean, they've come to us because we looked for them rather than just by accident.
Well, 2010 was a very challenging year. We were in the global financial crisis. Prior to that, we'd already committed to acquiring a number of those sites, and indeed we owned a number of them. So the big challenge was getting them funded. So fortunately, we got a very good backer, Moorfield Group, and we managed to find some entrepreneurial investors who would like to sit alongside us and develop what was still a very emerging asset class in the UK.
There were challenges always, and again, challenges because of the innovation, the level of innovation and the difference. Though it seems fairly obvious now when you look back and think, well, everybody surely was welcoming of this new change, this new way of older people living, the deinstitutionalising, if you like, of care for older people. There are a lot of people who have very set views on the way it does, principally government, who do what they do, and they like a tanker in terms of changing. And because government sets policy, whether it's planning policy or regulatory policy, we've had to persuade them over time that there is room for this innovative solution.
Between 2010 and 2017, we opened 5 villages, with Clevedon in Ilkley, St Elfin's in Darley-Dale, Moat Park in Bearsted, Inglewood near Hungerford, and Binswood in Leamington Spa.
When we first opened, we had 32 owners, and we didn't have the main house originally. We had a small chapel, and we held a open day in the gardens of the chapel, and we had a very small team of people. I think there was only about 6 of us that worked there at the time. Had a barbecue, had all the owners in with drinks, and had a wonderful afternoon. And then I think that if I jump forward to 2 years on from there, I remember hosting a pantomime that about 30 of our owners were involved, whether it was in set, scenery, performing, along with team members all performing together and having a 2-night show with 80 guests at each. So we certainly came a long way quickly.
There have been lots of highs over the years. Most of them have been around opening new villages, I would say. We've had a tradition of great opening parties, and the joy of seeing them, what started with a visit to an empty building like this, which then gets created and built and then opened, and then those first people moving in and the staff joining us. We've had some fantastic days where we've seen those dreams come alive.
With 6 exceptional villages across the UK and 7 more on the way, Audley Group were flying. But it wasn't just the quality of their villages that stood Audley apart from their competitors.
The range of facilities we have, you think of it from a housing, lifestyle and care point of view. Not everybody needs everything, and not everybody wants everything, and we have to respect that. At the core of everything we do is the fact that the individual can choose.
It's really, really helpful for people to be able to move into our apartments and to age in place. Pull out end to the tap so that you can fill a kettle whilst it's on the side rather than having to hold on to it and fill it at the same time. Additional places where we can put handrails and grab rails in either by the side of the bed or in the bathroom, just to make living easier.
We give the owners opportunity to create their own clubs and interests, so that helps build the communities.
If they are housebound and they can't come over for lunch or something, then the staff will take the food to them. So they can still take part in having the nice food that everybody else can enjoy over here.
I remember when I was at St Elfin's, actually, a couple moving in the very early days, and he was 90 and he'd never been in a gym. He moved in and he came down very proudly to show a pair of trainers that he'd been out, and his family were quite amused about the fact he'd been and bought his first pair of trainers. And a couple of weeks later I was walking past the pool and I saw him on the treadmill really going for it, and that was quite a significant moment, I think, of where you have the impact of those extra facilities we have.
There's more classes, etc. We have aqua 4 times a week, we have Pilates, yoga, chair-based keep fit.
They live independently and they have a great quality of life, and they're in control of what every day looks like. And moving in to their property is just the beginning of that story. I think it's a new chapter in their life, and the best is yet to come.
Core to everything is keeping an individual engaged, whether that's physically in terms of activities in the gyms and pools, or socially in terms of events where they keep communicating with people, or educationally. I mean, walking here just now, I met one of our owners who was telling me she'd just come back from a Spanish lesson. Why not? Why stop learning? Lifetime learning is something that's really important. So keeping them stimulated is a way of making sure they get the very best out of their later years for as long as possible. And that is our whole job, to help people live better for longer.
And I think it's a massive responsibility for Audley to see beyond selling an apartment to an owner, but to really make it meaningful and ensure that our owners enjoy living there and feel fulfilled.
I think in the back of the mind of every single one of our owners is the thought that a trusted care or support provider is going to be there behind the scenes, and they know that Audley or Mayfield Care will be there for them to support them. Rather than hiding care behind a bushel, let's be proud of it. It's a fantastic offering, and our care colleagues work incredibly hard to support our owners and to support our customers in the community. So let's be proud of it.
The biggest challenge always has been people, finding good and the right people. But we're very proud of the people that we recruit and train and keep. And always finding them is a challenge, particularly actually at the moment. But we are blessed with fantastic staff, as has been shown particularly through the pandemic and their amazing response to it. Because you can build the best buildings in the world, but they mean nothing without the people who run them.
I think it's everything. I think our business model, what we try and do for our owners and our customers more broadly, depends entirely on our staff. I think the heart of it and the heartbeat of our business and our future success is our people. The way our people think about our customers, the way they think about our owners, and the way they interact with each other.
Once you walk through the door, the first thing that you then come to experience are the people, both in the head office, in our villages, right through to our owners and customers are excellent.
It gives me great pride when I go to a village and I see the interaction between our customers or owners and our staff, and how they go to great efforts to create a really family atmosphere.
We are a unique business, and people that join us, they always seem to want to embrace what we do more. They embrace the development opportunities.
Some of the most senior people here have come from more junior roles and have developed their careers with us, and who completely get and understand what Audley is about. They are the best people to pass to the next generation what we're trying to achieve here.
So I started as a restaurant supervisor. I then became an operations manager, which back then was actually called a club services manager. I then became a village manager, then progressed and moved into general manager role, and then there was a fabulous opportunity to train to become an operations director. So I put myself forward and was successful, and then 3 years later, here I am.
I started out as an evening carer, and then I went on to a senior position as time went on. I'd done a bit of coordinating in the care office, then I went on to compliance side of things, and now this is my 4th month as care branch manager. So they're very supportive, and they're so helpful. You know, if you don't know anything, you just ask and someone will always be there to help out.
There's always a lot of training available. There's the mandatory stuff, but there's also stuff that you can choose to do, and you know that's really good for personal development.
Ever since I started, there's been no hurdles or barriers for me. Every opportunity I've been offered that I've taken, and if I've looked for opportunities, they've been made for me as well.
Audley are very good at getting the best from you. You know, they focus on what you're good at, and they'll enhance that with more training, and I think that's one of the things I like about Audley.
The Academy for me is probably one of the most important services that we provide to our team members when they join Audley. It's a huge challenge in today's world and responsibility to make sure that we're not complacent when people join, that we carry on understanding why they've joined Audley, and that we provide a platform for people to achieve whatever their career dreams are or other dreams, and to really understand what their career path journeys look like in their mind, and to work with them, to support them, to plot that out and achieve it in a way that's acceptable and satisfactory for them, and they feel that they are achieving as they wish to.
So I think because Audley treat the staff so well and they give them such good training, they're so proud to actually go out there and do the job.
I think they care about the impact that they have on people's lives, because it's a visual return that you get when you're coming to work at Audley. You see the difference.
The uniqueness and the IP sits within the network of relationships that our people have with each other. But the way we make it a success is by each of our people understanding their place in the organisation and sharing a common purpose, a shared vision, if you like, for what it is we're trying to achieve, helping people live better for longer.
Helping people to live better for longer is the main reason of why I continue to do what I do, and I'm still loving every day that I come to work, because I can see the difference.
So, now we know more about Audley Group's history. But what does the future hold for the multi-award-winning retirement operator? How do they intend to evolve, to grow, and most importantly, help more people live better for longer?
Well, to keep the brand and the culture, we're just going to have to keep listening. That's all. Because our customers will continue to change and progress. And if you think of the next generations coming through, right the way through to young people who are young now, who in 40 years will be looking at Audley as an option, Audley or Mayfield as an option. They'll have different likes and dislikes, and though we may keep those core principles the same, we just have to keep listening to them and making sure that it's going to respond to them just as much.
Well, for me, it's about culture. We can add lots of new ideas and services and benefits. But without a strong culture, I don't really believe that will be as effective as it could be.
But the fundamentals of the culture, of the business model, what it is we're trying to do for our owners and for our customers, and the way in which we do it, we've got to keep close to our hearts.
What I'm quite excited about is just the continual enhancement of what we offer. I really would like to see us stay at the forefront of just the experience we give people.
Audley Group have a great brand, and we have to keep evolving.
I think we've got a fantastic opportunity, a generational opportunity, if you like, to do some really wonderful things for our society, keeping people out of hospital, providing them with support when they come back in a way that allows them to get better quicker, and then keeping them healthy, active physically and mentally whilst they age in place in their home is just a fantastic offering for our society. It deals with one of our critical challenges. How do we provide social care in a society where people are fragmented and live all over the place? Well, this is one of the answers. It's not the only answer, but it's one of the answers.
One of the challenges as you grow is that people naturally think they're less important because they're one of a bigger number. That applies to both our customers and to our staff. So somehow, whilst we grow, in keeping the focus on the individual and making sure that the people who run our villages continue to focus on that.
I think hopefully now we'll be going through a phase of acceleration in terms of growth, in terms of delivering certainly our new Mayfield brand. I'm quite excited about that as an opportunity to provide more people to access what those of Audley have already started to enjoy. So I think that is hugely exciting.
Mayfield obviously is a crucial part of it because the scale of growth can be significant and can take it to a much wider audience who've really never had anything like it.
So I feel that the Audley owner and the Mayfield owner are essentially the same. It's someone who wants to live independently in a nice environment, a wonderful environment with great service and access to care as and when they might need it. And I say care, I guess I really mean support. Support in some way, shape or form. That might be mental, it might be physical, but we're there to help.
Mayfield is a much more at the mid-market, so we need to be in areas where there are a lot of people. We can see a lot of chimney pots, and it is easy to see, well, those people living in those houses would want to move into this location in a development that's designed to support them as they age.
Why did we develop Mayfield? Why did we come up with it in the first place? Simple, to give more people an opportunity to live in an independent setting, an integrated retirement community, if you will.
The principle of Mayfield is no different. It's about housing, lifestyle and care. We just wanted to be able to deliver it at a more affordable price.
Evia, very similar. We've moved to Denmark with PFA, who are the largest investor today in our business. They were incredibly excited about the idea of taking what we do in the UK to another market, to their market, and they've been immensely supportive in getting that joint venture off the ground, and we've now found our first site. What's really interesting about the Danish offering through Evia is that it's going to be pretty much the same thing. It's going to be incredibly exciting to see how that takes off in the forthcoming years.
I mean, ESG, environmental, social responsibility and governance is important to everybody. It's not an Audley story, it's a global story.
We have a large estate at Audley, about 400 acres of land, so that gives us opportunity to put solar farms on, plant trees, those sort of environmental benefits.
Everything right through, take an example around our villages, that was there quite sizable physical structures. So when we're just looking at new village development, how can we make those carbon neutral? What do we need to do differently to make them more sustainable, more environmentally friendly? And that's happening now.
I think Audley in 10 years will be not only the most respected operator within the space we work within, which I think it definitely is. I like to think it is, certainly. I actually think it'll have an important place in the whole of UK. And the fourth largest business in New Zealand just builds retirement villages. I'm not saying Audley will be that in the UK, but it certainly deserves more recognition across the corporate sector and generally amongst the public too.
I think we will get bigger. I can't say better because we're already good, but I think we will be the top of the game.
I would hope that the sector as a whole is offering more choice.
We'll still be making changes to people's lives. I think we will be enhancing our own offering and experience, and we will keep moving and changing with the times and staying ahead of the market.
I think Audley Group will become a household, understood, independent living name, and I think that people will aspire to live at Audley or Mayfield. And I think as we naturally grow and we're in more locations, that will organically help the understanding of Audley.
3 words that sum up Audley.
I think opportunity.
Happy.
Vibrant.
Caring.
Satisfying.
Compassion.
Innovative.
Responsible.
And yes, rightfully proud, I think. Proud of everything that we've achieved and proud of everything that we're going on to achieve.
Care for our owners, make sure we look after each other, do the right things in the right way. And if we can do that and we can do it profitably, so our investors can generate a return, then I think we will have a business that's got 100 villages, 20,000 customers, etc., etc. I can't see any reason why that wouldn't be the case.
After more than 30 years in business, it's clear Audley Group, just like their customers, are far from retiring. And with Mayfield and Evia taking the group in new exciting directions, you can be sure Audley Group will continue to offer unrivaled independent living to thousands of people for years to come.
What we do is really important and can really improve the opportunities for a whole generation of older people to come.
It's just open to everybody. It's lovely.
I would highly recommend to anybody who's doubtful or has any qualms about whether they should or shouldn't, the answer is do it.